Hello and welcome to Public Conscience, the anti-corruption program produced by the Progressive Impact Organization for Community Development, PRIMORG. I am Chidozie Ogbonnaya with Esther Bass.
Thanks for joining us, and the spelling of PRIMORG is PRIMORG.
On Public Conscience, we seek to evolve a corruption-free society by drawing government and citizens' attention to corruption reports and issues for prompt democratic actions against them. We also promote integrity by amplifying the rare cases of the display of honesty by public and private individuals. We appreciate the MacArthur Foundation for supporting the production of this program.
On today's program, we will be dissecting the impact of high cost of living in Nigeria and how citizens are coping, as well as possible solutions to mitigate these crippling challenges. Also, we will discuss some of the positive inroads artificial intelligence (AI) is making in the media ecosystem.
Today's conversation stems from investigative reports by Dataphyte on how Nigerians are grappling with the rising cost of transportation and health services.
Well, according to the report, after transport, healthcare constitutes the second largest portion of Nigeria's non-food expenditure pattern. Recall that right after President Bola Tinubu's Fuel is Gone pronouncement on 29th May 2023, there was a surge in transportation costs as well as commodity prices. Petrol price was jacked up from about 175 naira in May 2023 to 1,030 naira in October 2024, following the complete deregulation of the product. Dataphyte's findings show that Nigerians now spend 5 times, that is 4.9% more, to access healthcare services compared to what it was in 2010. The situation today is that Nigerians are struggling to navigate high transportation costs and skyrocketed prices of drugs and pharmaceutical products.
According to the federal government, compressed natural gas (CNG) initiative is intended to reduce transportation costs in the country, while in June 2024, President Bola Tinubu signed an executive order exempting pharmaceuticals and accessories from tariff and excise duties, which should automatically make healthcare and drugs more affordable. Today's program will restate the call for the government to adopt practical and innovative measures for tackling livelihood and inflation problems in the country. So for you out there, how are you coping with the high cost of living in Nigeria? Big question. Feel free to share with us how the transportation cost is, getting at you. Is it going up or coming down? Just join us when we open the phone line to make that contribution. What are your tactics for surviving the times? Is your coping mechanism making you to compromise standards? Do you think the economic hardship will drive more Nigerians into desperation and corruption? How best can the government address the current economic challenges? And we also touch on how do you think artificial intelligence will improve Nigeria's media industry?
Well, then be ready to join us through phone and text messages during this conversation. The WhatsApp phone line to send your message is 0902-265-6167. That is 0902-265-6167. Please indicate your name and your location when sending your message. This number is for messages only.
Please begin to send your messages as soon as possible to 09022656167. That is 09022656167. We'll give out the phone numbers to call shortly.
If you just joined us, the focus is on the impact of high cost of living in Nigeria and how citizens are coping. We will also discuss the impact of artificial intelligence (AI) in the media ecosystem.
To expand this discuss, we are joined in the studio by a team from the Dataphyte led by Femidi Amele, Program Director at Dataphyte. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning.
Femidi is also with Khadijat Karim, a research and data analyst. Khadijat, you're welcome.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
All right. We are also joined by the head of news at 99.9 Kiss FM, Ayoade Olatukewa. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Now, I know a whole lot of conversation about cost of living is huge. It's happening. It's what we're feeling. But maybe we'll start with what AI is doing in the media ecosystem before we jump into that cost of living crisis. Let me come to you, Femidi. I mean, help us understand how much artificial intelligence, the inroad is making in the media ecosystem. What is changing in the media ecosystem, and how best can we, use it to improve our work?
Well, quite a lot of ground is being covered by artificial intelligence, as we easily know it as AI, in the last few years. Over a decade now, we've had quite a numbers of experience from different sectors, but the media in particular, and the mainstream media, as we have always known it, we've known it from publishing to broadcasting. Let me quickly touch on publishing, for example. One of the things that is becoming quite prominent, and I'll use cases to just to expatiate on what we have. One media house in the US decided to deploy their own AI, after training it on their style, on their model of how they write and the likes of that, and conveniently using prompt language to discuss. Prompt language would be asking it, oh, what do you think of socioeconomic indices from 10 articles we've produced in the last few months? Can you generate a pattern? Can you find a pattern in there? Well, the AI they commissioned to do that for that media house eventually was able to produce at least 25 stories. Now, this is a very big media organization, and by the time the end of the month was on, they had done over 1,500 stories. So productivity level for that media house really did increase in the US. And that's the space that we are also considering in Nigeria. How do we increase productivity level, considering the fact that we're a country with a lot of media content? I'll give you an example. One of the things we're doing at Dataphyte is with our product called Nubia AI. It's able to analyze data, right? But one of the things that we want to and conveniently have to analyze from time to time as Nigerians, and Nigerians will really be interested in this, are details such as budgets. So every year the budget is released. It takes journalists 1 day, 2 days to run through where it's the part for newspaper, how much are they charging for this, how much is that, and the likes of that, how much has been budgeted in there. But with software such as Nubia AI, which is one of our products, and many of the other AI products that we have, all you have to do is to upload that document, PDF or Excel or any of the formats that it may come, into any of the AI platforms that has become prominent in the media space, like Nubia, like ChatGPT, and the likes of them. And then it analyzes and tells you, oh, the cost of newspapers in this year's budget is this, and that year's budget was that. So speed starts to come in, and data starts to help conversations even faster. One of the
As simple as that?
Yes, as simple as that. That's as simple as that. And what makes it quite interesting is the fact that with such content, when we're having socioeconomic conversations such as this, which is one of the reasons why at Dataphyte we excel when it comes to using data to analyze stories, is because at an initial level, we can have documents such as this, process it, and share with Nigerians to say, oh, by the way, the cost of healthcare is 5 times the regular price, because there's a pattern to detect. It's in the past, you have to sit down, do a lot of calculations, look for, oh, what was it then? What was the price of this brand versus this brand and the likes of that? And that takes time. Sometimes takes away the speed of delivery on socioeconomic issues. So AI is helping such conversations.
So we're on the right track when it comes to what it can do. It's making the job more efficient from your standpoint.
Yes, it's making it efficient, but of course there's a double side to the convenience of using AI as well. There's the issues of AI ethics. There's the issue of, is AI going to take people's jobs? I'll give you a quick example. Last week, I did clone my voice using AI. I have one of the most prominent voices in broadcasting, but I decided to clone my voice because I thought about the fact that how many stories can I really produce sitting to record over and over again when I can as easily generate 2 pages of script, right? And assign an AI to prompt and deliver my voice clone for different contents. So what will have taken me possibly a day to do to cover all those scripts and go back to editing, now I can clone my voice in many contents. But one key thing that we're very prominent about use of AI in media spaces, there has to be a human editor, a human that oversees the use of such an AI.
For the sake of abuse,
I
right?
was about
Yes.
going the security purpose. How do we ensure that information that comes with your clone voice is actually you giving out those informations?
Fantastic. So you have and that's what makes AI governance in Africa and even in Nigeria a little bit dicey. Everybody's finding, and a lot of people in this space, like Dataphyte, like CGID, are working really hard to come up with what one would call the AI ethics that helps to govern conversation. I'll give you a quick example. When you do clone your voice, for example, like I did, right? At an advanced level, you require, first of all, the consent of the person. At some point, they'll ask you for consent. If you use some certain platforms to say, is there a document to back that this person's voice, you are using it with submission? At some point, they will dial tone you to make sure that the person who's recorded that voice matches who's on the other end of it. Those are very soft rules, but there is need to find more areas to build a dynamic to measure out, right, how the AI ethics in media, whether publishing or broadcasting, takes place and goes forward.
Okay, I will come back to you, but let me get a quick take from Ayo Adeola. She's also she's a news person, head of news at 99.9 Kiss FM. How are you utilizing AI? Let's get those quick take from you before we run.
Okay. Of course, we have come to realize that AI is transforming journalism in Nigeria of today. It's either you are part of it or you are going to lose your job one way or the other. But in as much as it has really buttressed on the good side of AI, I want to narrow it down more to be more realistic. For instance, for reporters in the newsroom, I'll give you a practical example. There was a call member I had, and I noticed that each time I say, do a special report, do this, I noticed that most times, because I'm experienced, you just garbage in words on Meta, words on Chat GPT and give to me. So that one, it's really a concern, which to me, I was like, what is happening to reporters of today? So lazy, you can't even do research. And then the challenge with it is that because AI, you also need to know and master how it works. You discover that some of those things, they are not in reality with what is it, For instance, 2 days back, I was just trying to search as well. I saw Meta on WhatsApp. So I was trying to check the recent MBS figure. When you're talking about inflation in Nigeria and things like that, you discover that it gave you data of 2022 and we're in 2024. So if you're not smart, or if you're not updated, you're going to have a problem with that. So I think that is where we have a problem here, where the gap exists here in Nigeria for reporters. You have to check, in as much as AI is good, of course, it's helping you to transmit sound to words and things like that, making it so easy. Unlike those days where we started, where you have to write, transcribe and things like that. It's good. But we also have to really redefine it for upcoming journalists, especially in our world, to know that in as much as AI is what people, is the information some people put in there, you have to also verify, do second check to be sure that what I'm churning out is
human editor.
So that's why when you see some reports, you just know that this is AI manufactured stories, if you're experienced as an experienced editor. So that's why I think right now we already know AI has come to stay, but we also need that reorientation in the newsroom for reporters to know that there's still the need for originality. In as much as this can enhance your work, it can help you summarize what you're doing, it can give headlines these days and things like that. But you also need to give that human angle. For instance, if I use AI to generate headline, it can resonate with the Western world, but it will not be domesticated here in Nigeria as what it should be. So those are the aspects we actually need to check it.
So we can't take it, everything that comes from AI, hook, line, and center. Double check. And Femi, I'm going to come back to you because you are the center of
AI. So let's come to Khadija. How is AI impacting your work as a data analyst and as a researcher? I'm sure you go on field too.
Yes.
Well, you don't need field.
I do need the field workers. In Nigeria, the data access is limited, to be honest. So sometimes you have to get on the field and to get your data yourself. So the use of AI, it has the good side and the bad side. Like she said, you can use AI to your advantage, but then you have to humanize it. You have to put like a human voice in some of your stories, some of the things that AI generates for you. So relying on AI entirely it makes your story bland. That's just the way it makes your story bland. People won't be able to relate to your story.
So that's basically how AI has impacted me.
You personally.
Yes.
And just to add to what they've said, because one of the things about growing into a new space, especially AI in media system, and that's why I ended my earlier notes on saying human editor, and also to just confirm what you said about what she said about humanizing, and what you also said about a professional experienced person having gone through the platform. One of the things the immediate gap that exists with Nigeria, AI in media ecosystem in Nigeria and in Africa, is there's something we call language models, right? So that would mean, for example, IO, for example, would have to train any AI that our organization, Kiss FM, is using on their house style, on structure, on language, on why we use present tenses in news structure, on why certain titles, when they appear, ones don't repeat themselves for Kiss FM. It may not be the same thing for other broadcast organization. And that's the effort of the experts, the journalism experts. And that's one of the things we're working on now, which is AI in media space, AI journalism ethics. We need brilliant minds to help us find that line, to say, okay, there's room for you to grow. We can't depend on this tool completely because it is a tool. And that's something that becomes interesting. I remember the story of someone who said, they sacked, and this is not a Nigerian story, sacked like 7 people in their organization, and then they started using AI tool. And then they brought him back, who was the head of the department, to come and train the AI tool. And then the organization that owns the AI tool now said, we've not seen anybody train this AI tool, even with our other clients. Now employed him, right, to now train their whole tool across board. So you start to see a situation where AI is compelling journalists and media people to add on to their skill in its use, right? So as a journalist, you now learn those tools, improve on those tools, and tell it, no, we don't do this in journalism. We don't do that. We do this. We allow this. We don't allow that. And that's the brave part of journalists who would embrace AI into their workspace would need to take on, even in any situation. And by the way, for Nigerians as well, because what we want in the nearest future is when you have socioeconomic data and you're following Twitter conversations on the price of fuel is this, or we are following T-Pain is singing tunes where we cannot dance, you want to be able to say, by the way, the price of drug in 2023 is now 4.9 times that value. As a citizen involved in journalism, or as somebody who is ready for citizen engagement, so that we don't have very, I don't know what they call those Twitter conversations where everybody just saying,
where you don't have data to back your
very
facts.
vague,
Okay.
and no.
So I was coming to ask you, because the average Nigerian, I don't believe that every Nigerian out there is abreast with what AI is doing. So we have to gradually get them involved
Yes.
into what AI can do and what is being done with AI. But for a country like Nigeria, where corruption is plaguing us, is a plague here, and we are trying to get our heads over the water when it comes to anti-corruption fight, how important?
Oh, trust me, it's very
How
important.
important is AI?
I'll give you an example. Quick example. Imagine a publishing platform, or let's use IO. IO works consistently on almost all the news that comes on. If IO doesn't remember that there's a AFCC case against a certain candidate or a certain person that she wrote about in January, right? And our experience doesn't come to bear at the time there is an update on that case. As you already know, there's a lot of AFCC cases in Nigeria. So by the time we're now in October, she's doing another story, or somebody is done, a reporter brings in a story and say, there's a case that we are covering. This is the first time they are appearing in court. And she says, no. According to what I remember, there's this case that existed this. So that's the power of an experienced journalist. But here's how AI plays out. There's something you call beneficial ownership in accountability, as we have it, accountability and in the fight against corruption. Beneficial ownership allows us to trace and find the pattern, right? Who has had EFCC cases before? What was the count? How many count, right? So when you do enter such a name into a database of, that can search, AI can search to find a pattern. You already know 1, 2, 3 things. This person that had this issue in Abia State or in this state, right, is now having a federal case. So we would no longer juggle with that issue that we have in corruption in Nigeria, where they will say, now so it happen, now so it happen. We don't forget now, this one don't go, this one don't go. For the very first time, Nigerians can almost start to see a pattern of who is a consistent corrupt person.
So it's just the information is out there. Ayode, let me bring you in. You were quick to point out, the gray areas in AI, coming on stream. How much of AI are you using, and how best do you think? Because there is no ombudsman, there is no policeman out there. So what are you telling your people that work under you, when it comes to ensuring that they maintain ethics and as well as use AI?
Okay, thank you for that question. For me, it's like in my newsroom, we always have what we call special reports. If you want to do it, sometimes they say, Madam Ola, I don't have story idea. I say, your story, you have to start from there. Go on Google, search trending news in Nigeria. That's where you start from. Relate it to FCT. That can be more interesting. Of course, sometimes when they search, you discover that even when you go through Google to search, discover that some of those stories are actually obsolete. You cannot use them again. By the time you narrow down those topics for reports, you are now able to pick one. I haven't done that. I'll now say, okay, still go and do research. What are the likely issues surrounding this? The more you can pick. And don't forget that with radio, we are like, doing a radio story is like a pizza. You take a slice to really expatiate and flesh it out. You just don't take, unlike print where you can touch on every aspect. So in our own case, you have to really place them on the desk, check which one is more human, which one is more impactful. So in doing that as well, you still have to go back to, and I say, okay, go back to, because I know they use it, go back to your AI. What has it given? Sometimes I do that to display that they are not wise. And I say, see this figure is not accurate. So I'm doing that because I know I cannot deceive myself that we have to use it.
Yes.
It has come to stay. But at the same time, you must have behind you that it is human input. And sometimes they are not as updated as you think they are.
Yes.
So you still have to know that you are the first point of gatekeeping. You must gatekeep, you must be sure of the information you are dishing out. Even if you are going to use the AI to, complement what you are doing. Do you understand? So most times we use it in the newsroom, but with a biased mind that you still have to verify. You cannot pick AI story and tell me that is the real source of the information. No, you must verify from 2, 3 other,
Yes.
and then you now take it back to interviewing the people involved, the people in the circle that are affected.
It's a normal, the usual journalism way of doing things that you must let the other side be heard when you do a report. So taking it back to them is just normal, that is ethical, that the other side has to be heard.
Because I wanted to ask him acceptability and rates with the media space here in Nigeria. You talked about how it has helped people outside, and they've gotten results and advance in, research and the rest outside Nigeria. Back here in Nigeria, we know that our situation is always very dynamic. So how has it? I said that with a lot of how has the acceptability rate been here in Nigeria, especially when it comes to your Nubia, and also and sustainability. And how is we call them veteran journalists? How are they accepting this AI culture? I mean, the
Do you
age
mean
gap.
the ones that are no more not inclined with
there's
technology?
it shouldn't be all like and seek acceptance.
Of interest, I also know some veteran journalists who are very interested in learning new ways, even though they say no, cats don't learn new things. But with regards to Nigeria, it is slow. Why? Sometimes some of these tools are expensive. Sometimes there's no resources to back that up. Sometimes it's the organization's disposition towards embracing technology. You have the early adopters, you have the slow adopters. Sometimes it's the fact that somebody has been told extensively that your job is gone once we collect this AI tool. So it's slow. However, Dataphyte has stayed in the forefront of doing trainings, right? When a radio station in Lagos about 2 weeks ago, right, just to talk about data analytics, right, where, for example, your regular numbers you get, your government stuff that you get, how do you convert that into a conversation you want to use on radio using data analytics? And we were able to show them how to bridge that. there's also the use of AI. Okay, you want to do a special report. Your IO has done a special report, then you need somebody to voice it, right? All of that comes into play. But one important thing I must also mention about that, and when it comes to journalists, as we have it in Nigeria, I think what happens is one after the other. Some features appeal more than before. ChatGPT was not as appealing 2 years ago. It is now. Suddenly, um, you have those kind of moments where somebody comes into some sort of revelation of, oh, this is what we should be using, and the campaign that I would describe it as a campaign that we're doing is we're meeting with news houses. Like we'll be pleased to come to Kiss FM, right?
Okay.
And just do training to say, oh, these are some of the AI tools, even the free AI tools that you can use to speed up your work, to make sure that there's a distinction with the type of work that you do, to help you move past the fact that once you need 4 or 5 hands and you don't have them, maybe some of those tools can help you. And in some instances, help somebody to move into a new role. Because I am not an advocate of saying because you have AI to sack the person. I've never been. No, I've never been. I've always believed that let's find out what next the person can do within the organization.
All right. When we come back from bringing in our listener, you tell us more, and I will come to you, Khadija, because there's a lot I want to ask you. However, what is important is that we don't want anybody to lose his or her job, but we are also saying that PRIMORG is also seriously involved in ensuring that this knowledge goes round. Media is the conscience of the society, and we are the fourth estate of the realm. So the public relies on us for a lot of things. If AI is going to help the media improve and hold government accountable, then we are in, and that is why we are collaborating with Dataphyte to ensure that this message filtered into even the ends of Nigeria where you think people will not reach, so that they can start using it and we hold government more accountable. Let's bring
for
in
you
the
out
lesson.
there, please follow us on our social media platforms at official PRIMORG. PRIMORG is spelled PRIMORG. Remember that we are still streaming live on Facebook at official PRIMORG.
And remember that this program is interactive. The WhatsApp phone line to send your messages 090226561. That is 09022656167. This number is for messages only. Please begin to send your messages now to 09022656167. I want you to jump in and have your say on the AI in media ecosystem. What do you make of it? How do you think it's helping the media grow if you are in that space? What do you understand by AI? If you have questions, ask that question. I have Femi D. Amale who will, attempt to answer all your questions. He has turned from a broadcaster to an expert in AI. So he will answer your question.
I'll always be a broadcaster.
So, all right. That's it. So join the conversation, and feel free to also share your thought on how the hardship is getting at you. We want those hardship to go.
All right.
We want the government to do something drastic.
Who don't want that? I mean, everybody is hoping and looking forward to another policy that would help us cushion down the effect of all of this hardship. But then
let's get back to Khadija. But if you're just joining us, this is Public Conscience, a production of the Progressive Impact Organization for Community Development, PRIMORG, and we are discussing AI in the media ecosystem and the hardship Nigerians are facing. How are you coping with cost of living crisis? Let me get back to research analyst at Dataphyte, Khadija Karim. Thank you for still being here.
You're welcome.
So, tell me a lot more. You do with data. You play a lot. You crunch the numbers a lot. You play a lot with the data.
Yeah.
How helpful has this AI been?
To be very honest, Nubia has been has made my work easier. So most times what you just do is
For
when
the
you see
benefit
a
of our
data,
listener,
yes,
Nubia is
Dataphyte AI
Dataphyte.
tool.
Okay.
Yes. So most times I think AI is a tool for data analysis basically. So AI allows you to just put in your data and it analyzes the data for you. So most times when you're confused about your data, you're not sure what this data is speaking, because you agree with me that there's some times that you see a data but your biases come up when you're looking at that data. So AI just sometimes help you to look at that data, that what exactly is this data saying. It gets rid of that bias for you. Then it helps you to crunch down the data. Then the only work left for you is humanizing that story you're trying to say with the data, putting relating it to maybe other aspects or other wings where your data, where you see that maybe your data has affected one way or the other, or bring it down to the impact on Nigerians.
Nigeria.
So that's
What are your greatest concern with this AI revolution, especially in the media?
my greatest concern would be plagiarism. So let me
It
give an
doesn't dictate
instance.
plagiarism.
No. So there's something about AI. What is giving you is coming from somewhere. It's coming from somewhere. It's not just coming from, it's not just generating it on its own. So you have to be very careful about using whatever you get from AI directly. Like Ayo mentioned the other time that somebody used what they got directly from ChatGPT without fine tuning or doing anything. So that is why it's important to just after like maybe getting your stories from the AI to use or anything, that is why it's important to just sit with it and for you to look at it at from other angles. And most times the best way to use AI would be to ask it for sources.
Okay.
Yes, to ask it
So
for
that you
sources.
have a reference.
So you have a reference point. So you're not just using whatever you get from AI and claiming it as yours. So you're able to reference that piece or work to the necessary authors.
Oh, that's beautiful. Okay, let me say that I also have Femidi Amale, who is the program director at Dataphyte, and Ayode Olatokewa, head of news 99 at 99.9 Kiss FM Abuja. I'll come to you, Femidi, but let me get Ayode's take on this because of the concern you've raised earlier concern, and it's quite noted. For those people working under you who are still afraid that AI will take their job, what will you be telling them, having heard all from Kennedy and his
So,
colleague?
yeah, I think for broadcasts, there is little AI can do to take your job because you still need that human interface, and which you have to interview people. You have to go out there. Some people are even for the interviewers who want to. Some of them they don't even like all this modern technology to tell them, can we do some? No, even to take voice note, they will say no. Some will prefer, let's say, face to face, and that's AI will not do for you. So you still have to do your job, and then that creativity in it, AI cannot bring it out for you. So for those in the broadcast, I think you just have to adapt AI to your work as a complement. But the fear that is going to take your job, I don't see that happening.
But from where you stand, it is needed.
Very, very.
All right, I want to come to
Femidi.
Femidi. What's the government approach when it comes to this AI? Do you think it is something that the government is interested in?
Oh, yes, they are. About a month ago, with the minister, I'm trying to remember his exact title, Dr. Tijani Bos. Yes, yes. With the minister, and one of the key conversations he had was this issue of his biggest concern was adaptation, right? How do you adapt it to the Nigerian system? What will be the ethics we would use in the Nigerian system? What opportunities? It was very keen on the issue of opportunities for young people. As you may already suspect, young people are early adopters of.
Dataphyte, Khadijat Karim. Thank you for still being here.
You're welcome.
So tell me a lot more. You do with data. You play a lot. You crunch the numbers a lot. You play a lot with the data. How helpful has this AI been?
To be very honest, Nubia has made my work easier. So most times what you just do
So
is
for
when
the
you see
benefit
a
of our
data,
listener,
yes,
Nubia is
data fights AI
Dataphyte.
tool.
Okay.
Yes. So most times I think AI is a tool for data analysis basically. So AI allows you to just put in your data, it the data for you. So most times when you're confused about your data, you're not sure what this data is speaking, because you agree with me that there's some times that you see a data but your biases come up when you're looking at that data. So AI just sometimes help you to look at that data, that what exactly is this data saying. It gets rid of that bias for you. Then it helps you to crunch down the data. Then the only work left for you is humanizing that story you're trying to say with the data, putting relating it to maybe other aspects or other wings where you see that maybe your data has affected one way or the other, or bring it down to the impact on Nigerians. So that's
What are your greatest concern with this AI revolution, especially in the media?
my greatest concern would be plagiarism. So let me
It
give an
doesn't dictate
instance.
plagiarism.
No. So there's something about AI. What is giving you is coming from somewhere. It's coming from somewhere. It's not just generating it on its own. So you have to be very careful about using whatever you get from AI directly. Like Ayo mentioned the other time that somebody used what they got directly from ChatGPT without fine tuning or doing anything. So that is why it's important to just after like maybe getting your stories from the AI to use or anything, that is why it's important to just sit with it and for you to look at it at from other angles. And most times the best way to use AI would be to ask it for sources.
Okay.
Yes, to ask it
So
for
that you
sources.
have a reference.
So you have a reference point. So you're not just using whatever you get from AI and claiming it as yours. So you're able to reference that piece or work to the necessary authors.
Oh, that's beautiful. Okay, let me say that I also have Femidi Amale, who is the program director at Dataphyte, and Ayode Olatokewa, head of news 99 at 99.9 Kiss FM Abuja. I'll come to you, Femidi, but let me get Ayode's take on this because of the concern you've raised earlier concern, and it's quite noted. For those people working under you who are still afraid that AI will take their job, what will you be telling them, having heard all from Kennedy and his colleague?
Yeah, I think for broadcasts, there is little AI can do to take your job, because you still need that human interface, and which you have to interview people. You have to go out there. Some people are even for the interviewers. You want to. Some of them, they don't even like all this modern technology to tell them, can we do some? No, even to take voice note, they will say no. Some will prefer, let's say, face to face, and that's AI will not do for you. So you still have to do your job, and then that creativity in it, AI cannot bring it out for you. So for those in the broadcast, I think you just have to adapt AI to your work as a complement. But the fear that is going to take your job, I don't see that happening.
But from where you stand, it is needed.
Very, very.
All right, I want to come to Femidi. What's the government approach when it comes to this AI? Do you think it is something that the government is interested in?
Oh, yes, they are. About a month ago, we're with the minister. I'm trying to remember his exact title, Dr. Tijani Bos. Yes. With the minister, and one of the key conversations he had was this issue of his biggest concern was adaptation, right? How do you adapt it to the Nigerian system? What will be the ethics we would use in the Nigerian system? What opportunities? It was very keen on the issue of opportunities for young people.
Dataphyte, Khadijat Karim, thank you for still being here.
You're welcome.
So, tell me a lot more. You do with data. You play a lot. You crunch the numbers a lot. You play a lot with the data. How helpful has this AI been?
To be very honest, Nubia has been has made my work easier. So most times what you just do
So
is
for
when
the
you see
benefit
a
of our
data,
listener,
yes,
Nubia is
Dataphyte AI
Dataphyte.
tool.
Okay.
Yes. So most times AI is a tool for data analysis basically. So AI allows you to just put in your data and analyzes the data for you. So most times when you're confused about your data, you're not sure what this data is speaking, because you agree with me that there's some times that you see a data but your biases come up when you're looking at that data. So AI just sometimes help you to look at that data, that what exactly is this data saying. It gets rid of that bias for you. Then it helps you to crunch down the data. Then the only work left for you is humanizing that story you're trying to say with the data, putting relating it to maybe other aspects or other wings where you see that maybe your data has affected one way or the other, or bring it down to the impact on Nigerians.
Nigeria.
So that's
What are your greatest concern with this AI revolution, especially in the media?
my greatest concern would be plagiarism. So let me
It
give an
doesn't dictate
instance.
plagiarism.
No. So there's something about AI. What is giving you is coming from somewhere. It's coming from somewhere. It's not just generating it on its own. So you have to be very careful about using whatever you get from AI directly. Like Ayo mentioned the other time that somebody used what they got directly from ChatGPT without fine tuning or doing anything. So that is why it's important to just after like maybe getting your stories from the AI to use or anything, that is why it's important to just sit with it and for you to look at it at from other angles. And most times the best way to use AI would be to ask it for sources.
Okay.
Yes, to ask it
So
for
that you
sources.
have a reference.
So you have a reference point. So you're not just using whatever you get from AI and claiming it as yours. So you're able to reference that piece or work to the necessary authors.
Oh, that's beautiful. Okay, let me say that I also have Femidi Amale, who is the program director at Dataphyte, and Ayode Olatokewa, head of news 99 at 99.9 Kiss FM Abuja. I'll come to you, Femidi, but let me get Ayode's take on this because of the concern you raised earlier. Concern and is quite noted for those people working under you who are still afraid that AI will take their job. What will you be telling them, having heard all from Femidi and his colleague?
Yeah, I think for broadcasts, there is little AI can do to take your job, because you still need that human interface, and which you have to interview people. You have to go out there. Some people are even for the interviewers you want to. Some of them, they don't even like all this modern technology to tell them, can we do some? No, even to take voice note, they will say no. Some will prefer, let's say, face to face, and that's AI will not do for you. So you still have to do your job. And then that creativity in it, AI cannot bring it out for you. So for those in the broadcast, I think you just have to adapt AI to your work as a complement. But the fear that is going to take your job, I don't see that happening.
But from where you stand, it is needed.
Very, very.
All right, I want to come to Femidi. What's the government approach when it comes to this AI? Do you think it is something that the government is interested in?
Oh, yes, they are. About a month ago, we're with the minister. I'm trying to remember his exact title, Dr. Tijani Bos. Yes, yes. With the minister, and one of the key conversations he had was this issue of its biggest concern was adaptation, right? How do you adapt it to the Nigerian system? What will be the ethics we would use in the Nigerian system? What opportunities? It was very keen on the issue of opportunities for young people. As you may already suspect, young people are early adopters of technology. It also means, for example, a good idea of how the number of people that can be affected, positively or negatively, by AI is when Twitter was locked out. The number of people that couldn't make money from their regular tweets and the likes of that. Now, what we have are quite a number of young people who are starting things like an AI agency, right? Who would crunch numbers. And this is me now going into socioeconomic part of AI, for example, which is very important.
So there's money there.
Yes, there's money there because suddenly you okay, so let's say we want to make a jingle. I would need a voiceover artist. I would need a producer. I would need a scriptwriter. Sometimes this one human being is able to do all these things.
And that's why people lose their jobs.
Yeah, one human being is able to do all these things and is successful. But there are many AI agencies that help such a person now to go around, to bypass that situation. But I also wanted to touch on AI and how it affects the common Nigerian, not just as policy. You know, when we look at numbers, for example, this issue of fuel that we have going on in the country, the price of fuel, everybody keeps saying it is biting hard, it is biting hard. And one of the stories we worked on in Dataphyte was whether air conditioning. Let me even ask you this. Do you think turning on your AC while driving your car affects fuel consumption?
Femi still thought he's the one.
No, I'm not putting you on the spot. I'm just
but there's a myth or a belief system that people think that turning off their AC,
yes,
saves fuel.
Yes, and I will tell you this: some days it's a yes in my head, some days it's a no, depending on where the fuel tank level is. Because you don't also want to start going the lane of this car. You don't change your hand, you don't change your mind for me today. But I will tell you one interesting thing. We did a survey and I did a report along the lines of that, and there were all kinds of responses, and there was all kinds of theories of why. There was the people who knew mechanical part and say, no, it doesn't take. It's because once your car is wound up, your car is lighter, it can drive through this and that and that. But when you put together all these kind of responses, using AI tools, the level of exposure, I don't want to use the word educated, the level of exposure Nigerians have on such a subject. Issue of food. We are going towards December. My wife and I were discussing how do we jump around the price of food before December comes in real life, right? What are the patterns? I will tell you another interesting part. People who do stock exchange and dealing. Now for the first time, right, when I see those numbers scroll, I can go and carry a spreadsheet of trading numbers, give it to an AI and say, CEO, which one is going to lose money in December? Let me jump out of it in good time. If at all AI is able to do anything, it's there to give you indicators to guide your decision making, right? So if you want to find out, what schools in certain area are very expensive and all of that, and you're able to model a pattern out of it, you're able to make better decisions. It is not even so much as in the past where government tells you, this is why we are doing this, these are the numbers we have gained, so and so people can fact check almost instantly.
So it's helping people to fact check the
citizens
government
can fact check now directly. There's that demand for accountability that, excuse me, sir, that number you called, sir, is not the number that your government document. For the first time, you find things like rainfall. What does the Hydrological Center say? What does NIMET say? What does NEMA say? What are the reports that they've done?
Yeah, he's also
yes,
doing
you
that.
put those. No, you put those reports together. For example, to an AI to say, please find the connection. Are these people brothers or they are speaking apart? Then you already know. For example,
It's primorgnews.org. That is primorgnews.org for all the details of our reports and interviews. Please visit our website www.primorg.org to get all the information about Primorg.
You can watch our videos on PRIMORG TV, which is our YouTube channel. Please subscribe to get reminders when we have a new post. We appreciate our guests, Femi D. Amele, Program Director at Dataphyte. Thank you for joining us.
thank you.
All right. Also, Khadijat Karim, a research and data analyst still at Dataphyte. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
We also thank the head of news at 99.9 Kiss FM, Abuja, Ayoade Olatekewa, for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
And to you out there, thank you for being part of this program. Thank you for investing your time with us. Public Conscience has the support of the John D. and Catherine T. MacArthur Foundation, committed to building a more just, verdant, and peaceful world. Get more information about the foundation on its website, macfound.org.
Join us again here next week for another episode of Public Conscience. And remember to follow us on Facebook, X, formerly known as Twitter, at Official Primorg. I am Esther Bassi.
And remember that birth registration and certificates are free if your child is under 18. help stop the corruption in birth registration, and do not pay for birth certificates. Also remember that you can give us information or hint about corrupt acts through our phone at 09022656167 or info at primorg.org. I am Chidozie Ogbonnaya.